Thank you everyone for joining us for this session of Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to discuss the GeoSync GO Field collection and integration with QGIS. Basically we'll go through collecting new features in the field with GeoSync GO and the process of migrating those new features into a QGIS map, QGIS desktop GIS map. So again, as usual, we're looking at all of this from the concept of everyday technology and everyday work. The everyday technology will be focusing on mobile technologies such as cell phones, tablets, using the cloud, web interface, and GIS data, which is actually becoming more and more common for everyday everyday technology, and then applying this to an everyday workflow. In this case, we're looking at the utility mapping system. And as far as the applications that we'll use, in this instance, we will be discussing most of the GeoSync applications, everything from Go Mobile, Go Plus, Desktop, AM Tools, and our MapSync add-ins. We'll be utilizing all of these as part of the webinar and the workflow solution. This solution is what we're looking at. The webinar today, the topic is more or less a field to finish type concept. We're going to go from a field collection of features all the way back to the office and on a desk and bring the data, our new features, into a desktop GIS using QGIS. So which apps to use in field collection? We can use, for this scenario, we can utilize any of the three GeoSync GO products: GeoSync GO Mobile, GeoSync GO Desktop, and the latest GeoSync GO Plus. Now, the common components between these are our GeoSync GO workflow, our database that is actually going to sit in the cloud, be hosted in the cloud. That's our workflow database. Will be more of our data dictionary and our database that will send the new features to in the cloud. It will be our container for our features. We'll also, some of the common pieces between these field collections methods are our GeoSync GO forms. They go hand in hand with the workflows. So the forms and the workflows are common between all. And then also cloud-based transfer. All three applications transfer the data to the cloud via internet connection. Depending on the app it's using, sometimes it's real time, other times it may be an update if you're disconnected. So moving along, what we're going to look at today, we're going to use GeoSync GO Plus as our field collection method. And the first thing we need to do is determine our location on the map. A couple different ways you can do that. One, you can actually click on the map, menu will pop up on the point, and you would select the report folder. That would open the list of reports or feature reports that you have, or your data dictionaries, if you will, that you have available. In this case, we've selected our water meter feature that we're going to collect a water meter, so it is our form for it. The other way, if you have your device, if your tablet or phone has GPS, you can use the internal GPS, and that's what you see here on the left. This is a location coming into our phone in this case, with our GPS location displaying our current GPS accuracy. The phones aren't the greatest, but they're not bad. So in that case, you've got your GPS point active. You go to the menu, select new collection, and then you get to the same process as we did with the manual selection. You'll get your list of available features, and you can select which type of feature you're going to map and fill out the form. The third way is the GeoSync GO is GNSS capable. So if you have a GNSS device such as an R1, R2 or so, you can actually connect that and utilize it for your GPS rather than using your onboard. And in that case, you would have a lot better accuracy on your point. And at that point, it's the same as GPS. If you're connecting with the R1, the process is the same as if you were using the onboard GPS as far as collection. You'll see your GPS location. You go to the menu and select new collection. Brings up your list of available features. You pick the feature you want to map. The form opens up. You fill it out. You can add an image if you want, and then you just simply save the report. And that's how we map in the field, GeoSync GO Plus. So now that we've got some features mapped, we've been in the field or in the office if you would, but mostly, again, it's for the field. We're talking about collection here. So if you're in the field and collected some features, different features, you may have collected meters, valves, hydrants, whatever and multiple types of features. Now, all those new features you've collected are stored in that workflow database we mentioned earlier in Cloud account. So now what we need to do is we'll talk about first about the types of databases that we're using in this situation. First off, we have the workflow database, as I mentioned earlier. That is where your field collected features are stored. When you collect something with a feature with GeoSync GO Plus, or well, any of the GeoSync GO apps, that information about that feature, about that valve or meter, whatever you're collecting, is stored in that cloud, in this workflow database in the cloud. This is your active workflow database, so it's continually adding to that. All your information is going to your workflow, and again, it's cloud hosted, so it's in the cloud. The other database that we utilize for this version of the QGIS integration is what we consider a local data. We'll have workflow databases in the cloud. That's what you're sending your features to, and then my local database is actually stored on my desktop computer or my network. It's in this case, a SQL database, a SQL Server Express database will work as well. The data that I will actually open up in my QGIS map. So each of these tables in this database is actually a layer that I open up in QGIS. Now, your workflow database will be typically a named database. It will not be the typical, our standard account ID WF like our workflow database is. You'll actually see two databases. One will be a workflow and one will be the local. The local is typically the name. For example, we'll have MapSync company _util. It's my utilities database. So we've got two databases, one in the cloud and one local. The one local is, that local database is our master database, and that's what we're viewing in QGIS for our layers. So now what we need to do is get the new features out of the cloud and down into our local database. We do that by utilizing GeoSync GO AM Tools. The first thing we'll need to do is select our local database. So we'll go to Data Sources, Local Database, select our, in this case, for example, our MapSync utility database. The next thing we do is we'll want to utilize our append tool to actually append or update the information from the cloud into our local database. So we'll go to our GIS tools, the GPS to GIS tool. We'll select our workflow tab. We're working with a workflow database. We'll select our workflow table, or our layer, our features in the workflow. This is one that's in the cloud. So we'll select our hydrants. We've collected some new hydrants. So we'll select the workflow hydrants table or layer. Then we'll select the corresponding local database or table. So and this is in our local database target feature. So we'll drop that down and select hydrants there. So I'm going to pull my hydrants out of the cloud and append them to my master hydrants database in my local database. So once I've selected my target feature, so to connect to it, actually connect to the two tables. And then you'll see on the left here a listing. On the left this is the attributes in our local database. Then on the right, we'll see a list of the cloud database, cloud feature that's coming in. So basically, these two need to be matched up. The fields, we have to match the fields up. So there is an auto match field. If they're the same, it'll automatically match them. In this case, there are some that are left out. It says none. You could go in and select this field and change it to, say in this case, the flow test in the workflow database was flow. I could click that, change it to flow. So those two match up. Once I have those matched, I simply come over and click the Run tab. So when I do that, all of the new features in my cloud database will be added to my local database. Now, if I've got leftover features from previous collection efforts that have already been appended, those will not be appended. So if a hydrant that I mapped last week is already there, it's still in the cloud, it won't come over again. So you don't duplicate feet. At this point, we do that for each layer, and it's a lot quicker than my description here. Once you get used to it, it's actually pretty quick. The next thing, we go into QGIS. These layers here are my hydrants that we just mapped. This hydrants layer in QGIS is actually the hydrant table of my local database. So that local database is my master data. These water features are the database tables that in the local database that we just appended to. So that is the live mapping database. At this point, I can go in, change. I can actually modify this data in QGIS. I can edit it. I can draw new lines, add other features from the map. I can change information, so I can actually edit the geometry and the attributes of the layer here as well. So we can import we can collect in the field GeoSync GO Plus, import it into the database, and then we can also edit here. So now once we've edited the data, we'll need to get that back out to our GeoSync GO Plus map so we can view the current mapping data. That process is basically a process of exporting and publishing. The first thing we do is actually export the layers from QGIS using our GeoSync GO export tool. You simply select the layers that you wish to export, you want to update or push out, and select export. So that actually what it does, it takes that current format that the mapping is being viewed in the QGIS, exports it out into a specific GeoSync GO format, so we can actually utilize that in the GeoSync GO Plus map as our mapping component. The GeoSync GO local database, shapefiles, there's a number of different types of formats that it works with. So we've exported it onto GeoSync GO, so the GeoSync GO format. So now what we need to do, we need to actually publish those GeoSync GO layers out to the cloud for our GeoSync GO Plus map to pick up. And you can actually just export these for not only Plus, but there are tools to export for Go Mobile and utilize it for desktop. So at that point, once you've exported, then we go into GeoSync GO AM Tools and use our export or our publishing tools in AM Tools. In this case, what I'm looking at is my GIS XML export tab under the data sources. This is the folder. When I export from QGIS, it goes to a specific folder. Looking at my QGIS export folder, I select the layers that I would want to publish to GeoSync GO and simply click Publish XML. So it takes those GeoSync GO export or files that we exported, publishes them out to the cloud so we can utilize them in GeoSync GO Plus. And actually, in GeoSync GO Plus map automatically updates. You don't have to do anything after this. The new data is there, and it's ready to be viewed in GeoSync GO. That ends the webinar for today. Thank you very much for attending.